The weather show at VIN Crosby can't operate without sponsors. And boy, what a time for this sponsor to be here along the Boise River. This is Service Master Restore in Meridian. The Boise River, of course, flooding many, many areas, a lot of water, and that's what they do. They're experts at cleaning up flood damage. All that water backing up into the backyards of homes. It's just a matter of time before it gets into the home, and Service Master Restore can help your flooded problems. Give them a call today, 344-5511, 344-5511, or you can find them on the website at smcrs.com, smcrs.com. That's Service Master Restore in Meridian. I'm meteorologist VIN Crosby. Let's get an update on the river. I've been talking to several folks today. They're asking all kinds of questions. They feel that they're only getting snippets of information. So I'm going to do my best to cast in my bag of experience, and that experience consists of 30 years of forecasting, working at the Weather Channel, and in hurricane-flooded waters. Matter of fact, I covered the Neuse River in North Carolina, very similar situation, where the massive amounts of water was coming on down through the river, and the releases from the dam were incredible, and that's the situation we have really going on here, to a lesser degree than the flooded hurricane waters I experienced. So here we go. Like about a month and a half ago, I said, hey, we're going to 10,000 CFS. You may have thought, hey, that may be a little bit crazy, but we're there. I mean, we're up around 9,800 CFS today, 9,600 CFS, and now I'm telling you that we will be going over 10,000 CFS, well over, perhaps over 11,000 CFS, and there's a chance, pretty good chance, we could make a run at 12,000 CFS. What is CFS? That's the other question I was asked today. All right, CFS means cubic feet per second. So picture a box, 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot. You're holding this box with 1 foot in dimensions around it, and then you fill that box with water to the top. And in 1 second, that will move 1 foot. So that's a cubic foot per second. This is running at a rate of 9,000 plus cubic feet per second. So that gives you the idea of just how much water is flowing in 1 second in that mass. It's an incredible amount of force. And so that's coming on through. So what is going to happen? What should we be planning for? What to expect? Because it's not just for folks along the river. It's going to affect you as well. First things first, the trees are coming down all over the place. The park that you're seeing here to my left, these are some of the trees that came down here. That's usually a nice park. Well, the ground, the soil is like oatmeal, and these giant poplar trees are coming down. Giant trees are coming uprooted. The root balls are being turned over, and they're going to be coming down in abundance because of the massive water that's coming through, the rate and the height of the water that's coming through. So all those trees are going to get dammed up like logs, if you will, in the old logging videos, and then that water is going to get backed up. And that backing up of the water is going to affect roadways. Roadways like Eagle Road, like State Street, like Chinden. Do you travel those roads? Do you know how many cars come down those roads? Think about what may happen if those roads are shut down and you're in a traffic jam for 3, 4, 5 hours. This is what I experienced on the Outer Banks of North Carolina. There was only one way on and one way off, and the traffic jams were massive. How are you going to prepare for that? These are the thoughts you should be thinking about now, because the water levels, as you can see, are rising tremendously, and it won't take much for a little bit of backing up to really make water rise in certain areas. And so homes obviously are going to be affected. Roadways are going to be affected. Traffic's going to be affected. And this is not if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen, which is going to be just a tremendous sore event for all of us here in the Treasure Valley and back over in Canyon County, out towards Ontario. tremendous. So all these trees have been coming down. These are some of the footage I've taken. You can see they're large trees. They're coming down close to trails, to paths, to edges of the water, to homes. I mean, this is a real significant event that's taken place. Just yesterday, storms knocked down several trees. With the water coming up as high as it is around especially the south channel or the south fork of the Boise River by Eagle Road, I mean, just one of these big trees gets jammed up underneath there. The water is going to get up over Eagle Road. Now, it's very close to that already. This is footage of the water that has kind of been backed up around the south channel. There was a little hump, and it's over that hump. And then the water, as you can see, is trickling down right along Eagle Road, right around that subdivision, and getting higher and higher as more water continues to build on in. This is coming from the Boise River that is, you know, hundreds of feet up from this, up the hill, but it's all flowing downstream. And so once something happens or we get more water released into the Boise River, which we will, then that water will trickle and perhaps get over Eagle Road, causing some closures, which would cause the authorities a real headache because of all the panic that's going to happen when stuff like that takes place. So the authorities should be planning for this. If you are in Ada County, if you're in the mayor's office, if you're in the governor's office, you should be planning to put the troops all in place. I know most of it is, but think more. Think massive scale, because once the dominoes start to fall and the water starts to rise and backs up and people start calling for help, the roadways in and out of subdivisions may become a problem. And let's just face it, there's not enough law enforcement to take care of every single road if there's a traffic jam around the Boise River. So this is what I'm talking about. How can you prepare at home? Well, it's simple. It really is. It's common sense. It's making a plan. It's thinking, what if? And putting those down on paper. What if the traffic's so bad and I'm sitting in my car for several hours? Do I have enough gas? Do I have maybe some water, maybe some snacks in the car? Stuff like that. Maybe stuff for the kids. Little common sense things that will help a great deal, trust me, when the situations get a little static, if you will, and the confusion starts to set in and the panic starts to set in. So we want to be prepared. We want zero loss of life from this situation. And you doing the homework, if you will, to listen to what to do and how to get out, common sense, those are the things you should be taking care of now, because when it happens, you're not going to have time to evacuate, especially those of you along the river. So CFS, we got that covered. We got the rate behind me. You can see the trails covered with water. We know that. The swirl, I mean, that is just out. I've never seen that here. You've never seen that here. That rate of that water coming underneath the Eagle Road Bridge and that swirl, tremendous. The force of the water impacting these clumps of islands, if you will. They're going to start breaking free, folks. We're going to go up a couple of thousand more CFS. This water that you see there will be here by this sign. It'll be very close to the trails and coming up to homes. And so that's when things are going to get a little dicey. Heaven forbid if a structure fails, a little dike or a levee, and then water starts flowing, you know, into areas that aren't even along the river. Those are the things we need to start taking care of in the back of our mind. Do you have enough food, supplies in your house, okay, because you can't get to a grocery store because maybe you're locked behind traffic, maybe the road's closed, that sort of thing. Businesses, owners, are you prepared? Are you thinking ahead? Hey, what's going to happen if, you know, my employees can't get into work? Very similar to what happened during the big winter storm back past this winter. The other problem is the snow in the mountains. The snow in the mountains at this point is greater right now than most of the snow we had last January and the January before combined. There's so much snow in the mountains. When we get temperatures in the 80s and 90s and that water starts melting, it's going to get into a, well, river system that's full. The dams, the storage area, they've got to make room, folks. The Army Corps of Engineers, they have to make room. And so they're going to have to release tens of thousands of CFS into the flooded areas, and the water is just going to get higher. So a plan, thinking, overnight. I mean, if you live along the river, what happens if a tree goes down overnight when you're asleep and that water is like on your doorstep when you wake up in the morning? What's your plan? What are you going to do? Are you going to go to the second floor if your house is surrounded by water? Do you have boots or maybe waders, the neoprene waders, to help maybe get out of your home if it's surrounded by water? These are some of the things that you should be thinking of. Obviously, the plan to get out is the best plan of all, and that should be seriously considered. It'll be a nuisance, but trust me, I heard the calls. I've been and saw people who stayed during a hurricane when the flooding was coming on through. They almost lost their lives. They were clinging life and limb to things to survive. You don't want to be put in that situation. You don't want your family put in that situation. You don't want your kids put in that situation. All right, so I'm off my high horse. I want to give you a little bit of comfort. I don't want to panic you too much, but I want you to be panicked. I want you to be scared because this is a dangerous situation. Now, the roadways, obviously, you've got law enforcement. They're patrolling. They already increased patrols around homes that are going to be evacuated for the possibility of looters. So they are doing a great job. Firefighters, great job. You don't want to go near the water, get into the water. You don't want to force a rescue because that puts other people's lives in danger. So we want to be very cautious as a community. We want to definitely come aside of each other, and we want to listen to the authority figures no matter how inconvenient it's going to be. These folks, they know what they're doing. They've planned. They put together disaster plans, okay? They're doing their best to help serve you. You can help serve yourself by listening to them. An extremely important piece of information. All right, so the CFS, again, the current CFS, as you can see on the screen here, I'll put some information as we go along in the video, as we go along in future videos of what you can do, where you can go, and see the current CFS levels. We're already over the flood level of 7,000 CFS. We're up around 10,000 CFS. It is going to get higher. It is going to get into the moderate flood stage. Moderate flood stage, 11,000 CFS. Very good chance we're going to go there. And I know the authorities are planning for that already. So this is what we need to be thinking about. Read up all the information. We'll give you a course on the weather show with VIN Crosby here on YouTube. Tell all your friends and family about it. Tell them to subscribe. Every time a video comes out, you'll get a notice. You'll know the latest information that we have going on in this dangerous situation. Now is the time to prepare. Now is the time to stop and take 15 minutes. 15 minutes, folks, from your busy life schedules and think, in a sense, what if State Street is blocked off for water? You know, up around the Eagle Road area. I mean, the water's right there. What if Eagle Road is blocked off because of water? What if there's massive traffic because of the evacuations in certain areas? You know, that's going to affect, again, you getting from point A to point B. Tell your family a plan. Have a plan of action if something happens so you can get in contact with them via the cell phone. But plan as if, you know, there isn't any communication possibilities. What if then? Think of all those scenarios. All right, so I'm doing this because I care. I've seen the destruction firsthand back in my career. I've seen homes halfway underwater, and the Army Corps of Engineers releasing more water into the flooded rivers, and the people are wondering why. It's to maintain that storage. It has to be controlled. If the water coming out of the dam is not controlled, if it goes over the emergency spillway, that's your worst case scenario. And so the Army Corps of Engineers up there and the folks running the dam will have to release that water to maintain storage capacity for the massive snowmelt or any heavy rain events like we just had that occur. So dangerous situation. We all know that. You understand that. I can't stress that enough. But you being calm, you being informed, and you taking the right action and not worrying about ridicule and what people think, I mean, you know, they can take a hike. You want to save lives You want your life to be safe, your family's life to be safe, and others to be safe as well. All right, that's it for this version of the Weather Show with Vin Crosby. Again, updates are going to keep coming here throughout this event, because it is going to be an event, folks. Boy, when that bridge, I mean, just think coming out Fairview, coming out of Boise, if those trees get dammed up underneath that bridge, I mean, where's that water going to go? Coming over from, that's going to back up and get into possibly over the roads coming out of Boise. Where are you going to go? What's your alternate route? I mean, we're the city of trees, and we have a very, very big, powerful river flowing through the city of Boise. Ada County goes right on out there towards Canyon County. I don't want to forget my friends out there. You know the deal with the flooding. You know what's going to happen. Be safe. Stay away from the river. Patience. Be forgiving. Keep the road rage to a minimum. I guess I'm done preaching for today. You're watching the Weather Show with meteorologist Vin Crosby.